Most potting soil have animal products in them. And even if it's not manure, oftentimes these potting soils are now adding fertilizer to it, which is unfortunately always animal byproducts. I'm going to talk to you about making two different kinds of things. And hello, if you're joining, I'm Erin Riley from Cabbage Hill Fertilizer, and we're making animal-free seed starting mix and potting soil. The thing you need to ask yourself with the seed starting mix, that is generally something sterile, right? Because you don't want any kind of things growing in the soil that could cause rot to new seedlings. So in general, you want that to be as sterile as possible. A potting mix can have all kinds of life into it. You have to ask yourself, when you are starting your seedlings, are you going to be transplanting them from little tiny start, or are you going to be planting them, say, in a 4-inch pot that you're only going to transplant once into the garden? Many of us are going to transplant multiple times. If you're going to be growing in something small like this, you probably want to start with a sterile mix as opposed to a pot like this. Then this can already have the potting mix, because you're going to let this plant be in this pot for a longer period of time, where these guys are going to be coming out super fast. And seeds, actually, the shell of the seed is actually the food for the seed. When a seed sprouts, it actually has the nutrition it needs to get going, so you don't have to add compost or fertilizer to seeds. They have all they need. So let's get started about how to make sterile seed mix. First of all, this is coir. This is a brick of coir. Brick of coir. When you add water to this, it becomes this fluffy amendment. The key is to add hot water. It really speeds up the process. It's basically a replacement for peat. And then the other thing I add is vermiculite. Also holds on to water, and it's so light and fluffy. You don't want your little seed having a hard time getting up through the soil. So I add these two together and add a lot of water. I mean, a lot. You're going to be like, this is too much water. No, it's not. One of the reasons you're doing that is because you don't want to have to keep watering. You don't want to displace the seed. You don't want to knock the baby seedling down. So you want to start with your seed starting mix as wet as possible. Like, look, I can get water out of that. That's how wet you want it. Should we look at soil cubing? Okay, let's do it. This is a soil cuber. Now, you can go ahead and fill something like this up. You know, that's fine. But these little soil cubes, also very fun to do with kids, you guys. We're all about a kid activity. This is a soil cuber. I'm going to fill it with this soil. This is sterile seed starting mix. It's just coir and vermiculite that's very wet. You just stuff it in there. You can see where kids would love this. Stuff it till you can stuff no more. That's pretty good in there. Bring it up here. And this one has some drainage holes in it, this tray. Hold it down. And boom. Look, they even make little holes for the seeds. Come on. And you're going to fill that up. And then you're going, if you have a seed that needs top, some seeds barely even need any soil on top of them, you're going to use this seeding mix and just put a little bit on the top after you put your seeds on. Another way to do it is you can just fold in those little holes. That is your sterile seed starting mix. And you can use these, you can use 6-packs if you already have. Now, if you're going to use a larger pot, so the nice thing about doing this is you only have to transplant one. If you fill up these guys, because they're a bigger pot and you're gonna have them in here longer, to have some more yumminess. And so we're gonna use planting mix or potting soil. And just a hot tip, never ever ever put native soil with soil from the ground into a container. Even a raised bed, you need to use potting mix. We're going to add a few more things to our potting soil. Now you can start your coir and vermiculite. This is a great base. And what we love about with the coir vermiculite blend is it holds on to water and yet stays fluffy. It's genius. But what are we going to add to this? Okay, so an aggregate is something that allows the soil to breathe. It's also going to help with drainage. Great aggregate. So this is pumice. Again, sort of a ground volcanic material. Perlate's very similar. I prefer pumice. It's a bit heavier, but it actually breaks down over time and provides minerals to your soil. And this is lava rock. And these are great when you're making a potting soil for your houseplants. Lava rock. You really want a lot of aggregate in there. Because houseplants are generally in a smaller pot, they can get more condensed over time. So it's good to have a lot of aggregate in your potting soil. And we'll just go ahead and add it to our sterile mix. Added my aggregate. This is compost. High microbiological life, which is what the heck you want from compost. So this is my home compost, but you can use compost you get from a community or even a bag, depending on what your circumstances are. So I'm gonna add a whole bunch of compost to my mix. This is adding plant nutrition for sure. You're getting micronutrients, macronutrients, all that microbial life. Mix that all up in there. We're gonna add some fertilizer to our potting mix. I'm just gonna fertilize with my soul. And again, this is a potting mix we're going to use to start our seedlings, seeds in like a 4 or 6 inch pot, or you can put this into your raised beds or your containers. She looks pretty beautiful there. This is our finished product right now, not made with any animal product. And then, so what you can do is if you have a 4-inch pot, you're just going to go ahead and fill up your 4-inch pots. I would water them. Now this has a good amount of water because I watered that vermiculite in the coir so much. And then you're just going to plant your seeds right in there, your winter seeds. Okay, parsley seeds here, seedlings here that I am going to be starting up. So like those I could put right in these 4-inch pots, right? I could put that guy right in a 4-inch pot with everything he needs. Now he's a little big. He might be actually ready to go straight into the garden, but for an example, right? And then he can get a watering. Yay! So I thank you guys for joining me, and I hope you guys keep supporting Cabbage Hill Fertilizer. I'm really, really appreciative of all the support I've gotten so far.